Do you guys want a life-size bust of Sauron?
No.
That is
That's like
the bust itself.
way too big. Look at it in relation to the person.
But that's to scale for Sauron.
I don't like it.
You don't want that in your...
No.
Can you imagine the injuries?
That's horrible. It's always so pointy. Like, so pointy.
You fuckers will try to get me to hang it from the ceiling, too.
Can't you just, like, put a couple thumbtacks?
Oh my god, babe. Come on. Imagine.
It's only $5,800.
Not the worst.
No, it's like not an unreasonable amount for
And
that.
a limited edition of 98.
Just like 100.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristin.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your new favorite pop culture pod.
YouTube channel.
In my head, as it was happening, I was like, don't say podcast. Don't say. Where did that come from?
Well, it's what you used to say.
Yeah, but... Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristin.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your new favorite pop culture...
Bill's gonna murder you.
Your new favorite pop culture YouTube channel where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. And as always, this is a spoiler show, so you have been warned. On today's episode, we are going to have a conversation about season 1 of The Flight Attendant.
I'm a crazy drunk flight attendant, not a killer. What did you get me involved with? I feel like I'm losing my mind.
How do you think you're getting away with any of this?
Oh, God.
Season 2 of The Flight Attendant is coming up, and we think we are going to cover it. So if you want to watch it along with us episodically, watch this space. It's like a couple at a time.
I think it's two. I think it's
3, 2, 1.
3,
type.
2, 2, 2, something like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
So they'll watch this, but probably is it Friday?
Yep. Or Thursday.
Thursday. Watch the space. So to prepare, I watched season 1. I kind of always planned on it and just never got around to it. And we just figured, what the hey?
Yeah.
So we sat and watched it. You watched it back when it came out, and
Yeah.
you watched most of it again.
Through episode 5. Yeah.
And then I rewatched it. So spoilers. This is just going to be a conversation about what we thought about the whole thing. I really liked it. Having said that, for me, it was sort of a reverse bell curve.
Okay.
I really liked it. It really tried my patience. And then I really liked it
Yeah.
again.
I feel like I remember feeling that way as well. There gets a point in the middle where you're like, how dumb and drunk can Cassie get?
You were telling me that it like gets better, but you just sort of have to see it play out.
Yeah.
Because if you explain to people how it gets better, there's a very specific thing that happens that switches the entire show on its head.
Yeah.
And it's just worth seeing through. Because if you tell people, then it loses, loses the effectiveness. But basically, if we weren't covering it for the show, I would have stopped at episode 5.
Oh.
When Max got hit by the car, I was like, if anything happened to him, I was furious.
I would have told you he lived.
Sure, but I'm saying, like, it's like,
Yeah.
when he wasn't dead, I figured he was going to survive. But if they had actually done that, and that's something that I think the show, its probably strongest suit is all of the characters are really interesting.
Yeah.
And they were really interesting immediately.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those shows that actually grabs your attention from the beginning. Everybody was very lived in. Everybody was very dynamic. And it didn't suffer from that exposition bloat that I frequently get from a lot of first episodes.
That I feel correct about. I would also, I understand what you mean. I would argue that something has to happen to Max because otherwise, like, there has to be that moment where Annie says absolutely not.
Once it played out,
Yeah.
I was there. But it was like, as it was happening, I was like, I just can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because you did warn me. You were like, she's gonna annoy, because I really liked the pilot. And then you were like, she's going to annoy you. She makes a lot of bad decisions and bad choices.
While
And
she's drunk.
sure. And because that's another thing. And I think it bodes well in the show's favor in the grand scheme. But it's like, you don't realize when you're sitting down, or I didn't realize when I'm sitting down to watch it, that there were layers, that there were multiple things happening.
Yeah.
You just sort of think she's a party girl at first, and you don't realize that she's actually deeply traumatized.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious to see, because while I was watching this, I was sort of like, what would a season 2 of this look like?
You kind of
how would you even have a season 2?
You kind of can't get there until the end of the season 1 finale.
Which is funny because they set that up in the pilot.
Yeah.
That, again, like we said, spoiler conversation, she ends up kind of working with the CIA.
Yeah, she's becoming an asset, essentially.
And I was like, okay, because I mean, I would have been annoyed if it's like, oops,
yeah,
I slept with another murdered man, season 2.
Because isn't Shane, her buddy Shane, he's already like embedded.
And they established that in the pilot episode, because I had 2 predictions that both were kind of like true. Because my first was, once they mentioned that like flight attendants are likely to be a CIA asset or yada yada, I literally said Rosie Perez. I was like, it's Rosie Perez. And it's not like, she's not the CIA asset, but she does get involved in espionage.
Doing international espionage for sure.
It just, based on her character, I was like, she seems unlikely. So I was like, I'm going to guess it's her. And then my second prediction was when Buckley was telling her the story about the cats. I was like, oh, so you killed a bunch of cats? Do you remember? I was like, there was something about the story that I was like, that was weird.
Yeah. Well, I remember watching it this time when they first meet and he says he's an out-of-work actor. I was like, well, that comes back. That comes around.
Just because he acts?
Well, because that's how he got brought into the whole scenario, right? Because he was an out-of-work actor and they were like, you can pull it off. Wasn't that what it was? I don't remember. I think that was what it was.
I liked that. I liked the twist. You get there a little, at least I got there a little bit before the reveal. I at first I was a little bit bummed because I liked him as a love interest, but I loved him as a villain. It was just, Felix was better than Buckley.
Which one's Felix?
Him.
Oh, I see.
The assassin.
Yeah.
And so it was like, at first I was like, oh, I kind of liked him. But I was like, oh, but no, I really like this. It was really fun. Like, everything about him changed. And it's like, and back to her, like, making all the mistakes and stuff, that it's also how she survives this ordeal, because I love the moment in the airport when they land in Rome and she sees him and he's there, and her instinct is to run towards him and scream. Yeah. Because you would think you would run away from the person trying to kill you. Yeah. But she runs towards him and like, and the police get involved, and like Rosie Perez comes over and does her a solid. Yeah. It was really interesting. I really liked it. Keeping this broad, Kaley was really good in this.
I liked her a lot. Because was never a huge fan of The Big Bang Theory, but I've seen like enough episodes to know that she's pretty good in it. And like, I've seen, a Lifetime movie here and there, and like some episodes of like 8 Simple Rules or whatever. And I've always liked her and thought she was like pretty good, but this show is still funny, but it's stretching a totally different muscle for her. And it's so impressive too. I always love when like an actor who's known for one thing gets to do the opposite.
Well, I don't know that I'd go as far as to say it's opposite, but I am impressed that there are a lot of people in this, and the show is relatively ensemble-y. Yeah. However, the show is bought and sold on her name.
Oh, 100%.
So she really does carry it.
The poster literally says, Kaley Cuoco, the flight attendant. Oh, and Charmed. She was on like the last 2.5 seasons of Charmed.
For someone who is so well known for one thing, it's not the I mean, it's done, but it's not the easiest thing to move on to a second thing and to have it be as successful or differently successful. Like, and this really, I'm a little bit of a Big Bang Theory apologist. I watched a good 6 seasons, I think, and then I got tired of it. It's
well, we like the girls.
Yeah, it's a relic of a time gone by. Yeah. And they were all very good at it. They made a lot of money. They won some awards, I'm sort of, for actors, a gig like that is a good, solid gig. I'm kind of like, you know what? Good for you.
Just do it for as long as you can.
But I feel better when they go on to do other things and other interesting things. And I think
better things, in my opinion.
I think her charm and her talent and her charisma is what carries this, because like I said, it really challenges me, and if it were somebody else, I don't think I would have been as
well. That's the thing, is like you need someone who can be as charming as she is while you're still watching her make all the mistakes, because otherwise you're just like, this fucking person's an idiot and I don't want to watch it. But it's still so captivating watching Kaley Cuoco do
she's such a good physical comedian. She really and is. She's also because was it your husband that said that she's hair porn?
She is hair porn. I don't know if so good did, but
and she's so hot, and all the different like the different degrees of
because she's cute,
falling to pieces,
and she's hot, and she's like sweet looking, and I like it.
It really was, having said that this is her show and she is a big draw, it really is very ensemble-y, and certainly all of the characters feel unique. They feel lived in. They feel earned. Because like easily one of my early favorites was Jada, and it's like she doesn't have a lot of plot.
Yeah.
But she's there. She's not
like actually like involved in any of the stuff, but she's like a really fun, low stakes foil for Cassie.
I just love that she just so openly dislikes
hostile,
Cassie.
Like hostile in the moment every time. It's super funny. I mean, if I'm being honest, I am here 100% for Zasha Mehmet, Rosie Perez, and Michelle Gomez. That's like the three of them being on this show. And was I right about when Cassie finally meets Miranda that it just turns into kind of a comedy of errors?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once they finally realize that they're kind of both up a shit creek.
Well, and I fell for it so much so that I assumed, I was like, well, then Miranda must have a twin.
No.
Like literally. And then the more that I thought about it, I was like, oh, I guess we didn't see her do half of the stuff we assumed she did.
Cassie just builds her up like this boogeyman in her head.
Well, that's the moment where I was like, it changes the entire thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad I saw it through, because I was sort of telling my mom about it, and she's the type of person that prefers the spoilers. So I went ahead and told her. And I was like, it's just this like really fascinating, because I was like, it's kind of a retro spy, like espionage comedy drama thriller.
Which the credits give you a taste of for sure.
I was like, and you just don't get a lot of fairy godmother characters in that genre. Part of me kept waiting for Miranda to double cross her, and she just doesn't.
No, not really. Yeah. I'm like not remembering the end of Miranda's story, but I will likely try to.
She wanted the money because he was Robin Hooding, which I prefer.
Right, that's right.
I like, because when I realized, I knew that the guy died, and then when I found out it was Michael Huisman, I was like, that's rude. And you were like, it really is. And you're like, although he's in
every episode,
the show. She like the way she copes with it is whenever she goes to her mind palace, it's like the hotel room with his dead body. And she like has a version of him that she has no idea if it's real or not. It's just that. And that does help with like her trauma and her backstory and stuff. It helps establish that like she's an unreliable narrator.
Well, I kind of love the moment when you realize that he then can get into her memories. I really enjoyed that because she gets furious at him. She's like, what are you doing here? You're not allowed here. And it's like, I love that that's kind of the door that opens all the stuff. And her brother who...
So let's have the conversation.
Okay. Because I love TR Knight.
We started to like discuss it as it was happening. And it's a 2, even 3-fold conversation because him and his family, his husband and 2 daughters come to visit her. And the entire endeavor is ill-advised 5 ways over.
Of course.
And so they're trying to teach the girls life. And
so the girls want these little stuffed octopuses or something. And Cassie is like, oh, that's okay. I'll get them for you. Like, it'll be fine. Like, whatever. And fucking Davy and his husband are like, oh, well, we're trying to teach them that you don't get everything you want. And I'm like, yeah, but you should get one thing that you want when you're visiting your aunt in the city.
And he says that the trip to the aquarium was the thing. And
I am we both are big proponents of souvenirs. So like, get a fucking souvenir. A lot of these are just things. They're not souvenirs, but I just think you should. I don't know. And they weren't like huge or anything. She wasn't buying them like to scale versions of a giant squid or anything.
And there's like the cool aunt, yada, yada. And so she ends up buying the whale for them. And being like, it's
whales.
Our secret. And so he finds out and he's livid. And so, okay.
But then he also like, he goes to dinner. She's there waiting for them for dinner. And he's the only one that shows up. Rude. I think that's inexcusable. I just think it's wrong.
He basically is like, you can't undermine me as a parent. I get that. I agree with that.
Sure.
However, this scenario is not that battle. This was not him undermining him as a parent.
And furthermore, the fact that it is he should be dying on.
Well, the fact that it is proof that they're not in a place in their relationship to be doing this.
Also, yes.
You need to be in the same place with friends, family that you are allowing around your family in that way. And it's like, either she needs to already know that's a boundary that can't be crossed, or he like it was evident of the fact that this was not the right thing to do, period. Then adding on top of it the fact that she's quite literally wanted for murder and also being chased by the mob, essentially. So there's like, it's layers deep as to how that scene should have never happened. But that's why, because the argument we were having, because Rachel was sort of like, I'm on his side. And I'm like, well, in the grand scheme, yes.
Like overall behavior, yes, I'm more on his side than her side. But in that moment, I don't know. Using
an ant buying a stuffed animal and saying it's our little secret. It's like, that's not.
He was treating it like she had told the kids to lie about having stolen.
But I think also at that point,
toys.
We don't understand the gravity of their history. Their
not
shared.
Completely.
Yeah. We're still going on her memories, which, as I've said, we find is she's an unreliable narrator.
Yeah. But that's the thing for me is, if anything, that almost makes me more on her side in that moment, because she doesn't have, she's like 4 years younger than him, I think. And so she doesn't have the memories that he has. Her memories are very much the memories of a child.
Yeah, but he has the trauma, the trust trauma.
No, I'm aware of that. But like, he is sort of punishing her and expecting her to behave in a way that would imply that she has had the exact same upbringing and trauma response that he did, and she did not, because she doesn't understand how bad things were.
But I'm saying, because her grasp on reality is different than his.
Exactly.
That's why the quote unquote lie, it'll be our little secret, would be so triggering to him.
I see.
As opposed to something different, because he's like
because the drinking.
Well, it's like he can't even trust. That we don't even see things the same way. You know what I mean? So I get it more. And considering that it's a very stylish, that is the easiest way to my heart, is to give me something to look at.
Yeah.
It's very colorful. It's very glamorous. It's very aesthetic. The clothes, the locations, everything. But considering what a stylish and funny show it is, I think the gravity of so much of it is very stealthy.
Yeah.
And that's what kept me there. You did bring up Zasha Mamet. She is so good in this. I watched 2 seasons of Girls.
Yeah, same.
And I don't remember her really. I mean, of course
No, she's actually like, she's sort of daffy, but she ends up, because I never watched all of it, but I've like read a lot about it and seen a lot of clips of Girls. I only watched the first 2 seasons too. She ends up becoming kind of a voice of reason, where she's sort of daffy, but she's not as high on her own supply as the rest of the girls are. And so she ends up, I like saw just the other day a clip from when they're all on a vacation or whatever, and she gets drunk and just reads them all for Phil. It's so funny.
Well, I was saying that to say that while watching her in this, I didn't feel like I had already seen this character on another show. I feel like she was doing something very different.
Her interactions with Cassie,
their chemistry is so good together. I think she's very good in this. She's a little deadpan, but there was a moment that took me out. I paused it because I was laughing so hard. But it's when Annie has already severed ties with her.
After Max's accident.
Kind of twice.
Okay.
And she goes to the hospital with Miranda and was like, I need you to come down here and meet with us. I have Miranda, or I have something. I have proof.
Yeah.
And so she does. And she's like, this is Miranda. And Andy's like, this is Miranda. You're Miranda? And she's like, yes. All three of them are doing like so up and up and up. And so she goes to Miranda. She just goes, did you break into her house? And Miranda goes, yes, it was for work. And she goes, And then she looks at Cassie and she goes, it was for work.
I'm so she's like a real person.
I told you she was real.
I know.
But remember, I told you.
I know that you told me she was. Hi. Did you break into my friend's apartment?
Definitely, yes, for work.
For what she did for work.
It was so funny because Zasha was registering like 6 different emotions in real time.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like, because on one hand, she's relieved
that something's true.
Yeah. But on the other hand, the current conversation is so stupid.
Yeah. I love those moments. They're so few. They're few and far between on TV shows that I enjoy, but like moments like that where everyone involved in the conversation is recognizing how ridiculous it is, but they're still treating it like it's something real that they have to get through.
But she can also almost relate to it because she quite literally just gave a guy cyanide pills for her job 2 days beforehand.
Yeah.
And then resigned for that. So it was watching her sort of like, and it wasn't even quite processing because she was tapping it down because they hadn't even started the conversation.
Yeah.
So there was more to come. And it was a flourish that did so much work.
Yeah.
I mean, so much heavy lifting. And it's I think why frequently when we talk about genre and when we talk about like drama and action and all that, we're frequently advocating to hire comedians and or people who have a gift for comedy, because if something's not fun, then no one's going to like it. I don't know.
No, I 100% agree, because it's like if this cast had been populated with only dramatic actors, I don't know.
And dramatic men on top of that.
It's like the fact that, we've got Rosie Perez and like, I mean, Michelle Gomez has done a lot of drama, but like, it's again, funny drama. She's on Doctor Who. It's funny.
It's an embarrassment of riches of female.
Yeah. And then Kaley Cuoco and Zasha Mehmet. It's like, there's so many people that you're like, oh no, these people are all hilarious. I will continue to, but they're so good at the drama. It's amazing.
Well, so because we were watching it, and I think it was even the pilot episode, and I was like, Rosie Perez is one of those actors that's like better than she gets credit for, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you were like, absolutely. Her performance as Megan was so warm. It was so lived in.
Yeah.
There was such this like gentle desperation from the beginning.
Yeah.
And she manages to keep it not pitiful. Like she's never pathetic, but it's just enough. I don't know. I was fascinated by Megan because I kept waiting. Because like I said, initially I was like, she's going to be the spy. I was thinking she was going to end up being the role that Miranda ends up playing.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, I was right in that she had something else going on, but it's like even that instinct to want to feel special and excited and important, that she falls into a bit of light treason. It's actually not light.
No, it's like full hard. Treason.
And it's so oops.
Yeah.
And even just that conversation that she has on the phone with her husband, where he like realizes it's her, but is sort of refusing to allow the conversation to actually happen.
Yeah.
It was, and again, most of that is post that moment in episode 5 in the middle where it just sort of, all in all, I love this show and I'm going to tell people that, but I'm going to say that if you're watching it and it's really trying you, see it through to the end. I think it's one of the shows where the end justifies the means.
Yeah.
Because so many of my favorite moments are post that moment.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I just really liked it. I had such a good time with the whole show.
Oh, the jet setting, the Bangkok, they were in Italy, I think.
Maybe.
I think they were there. Because like the Bangkok, it's like you can fake that, but with B-roll and good sets.
Yeah.
And just those a lot of weird, quiet moments where things work out. Like the scene she has with what's his face as Nona.
He ends up being like a real winner, kind of.
There were so many characters that I was like, if anything happens to this person, I will riot. And
well, he did get shot, but he ends up being fine. So they actually did film in Bangkok.
Okay.
Bangkok,
even better.
Rome, New York, Los Angeles.
There were so many characters. Was it Chavez, the detective?
Oh,
her FBI agent?
Kim Hammond and Van White, the two guys that kept.
No.
No.
I liked Kim fucking Van White, that jackass. It was Chavez, I think. He's not on this bit, but he was working with them. He was like following her, and then he got. Yeah. And I was sad. Yeah. I mean, he barely even talked, but I was like, oh. And because that's one of the ones where you think Miranda did it.
Oh, sure.
Because they cut to her with the body.
Yeah, Agent Chavez.
But.
Checkered tie guy.
Who was Alana Ubach?
Nobody yet.
Oh, she's.
Yeah. Did you not see those 4 that are there? There's 4 at the bottom. It's Sharon Stone, Alana Ubach, Santiago Cabrera,
Cheryl Hines,
and Shor Agdashlu. Yeah.
I'm so excited. Yeah. I'm so excited. We love Alana Ubach so much.
She's been gigging her ass off lately too. She's doing.
No, I liked Kim. Work. I liked Kim a lot. Oh God, I love because one of our least favorite tropes is it's what we call the cop with a French braid.
Yeah,
and it's like
she wasn't that.
No, and I also like how she wasn't because she tells him off. She tells Van off in like episode 3.
Yeah,
and you said you really liked it, and it was good, but also she didn't lord it over him.
No, she just was like
she kind of was like, I'm gonna keep working on my stuff. I don't know.
Because he tries to pull rank and be like, well, I made it to where you are in half the time. And she's like, oh yeah, you think that's funny? It's because you're white and you went to Yale. And it's just like, oh God.
I actually really liked that Shane was the one who ended up being the CIA operative.
Yeah.
Because you just don't think of the effeminate man as being the like agent.
Yeah.
And
he's great too, though. So that's
because the whole thing is that you're not supposed to suspect them. So again, they established in the first episode. But what you start to say?
He's just great. I like because that's we were talking about the moment where Max gets injured and Annie like leaves her, and I was like, at that point, she has no friends left because she's ignoring Megan. Shane has had enough of her after the funeral. And so it's like, it's all this stuff. And Davy has already like left her. And so she is like totally on her own. She has no one to help her and like no one. And I think you need that moment because there has to be a reason why she will like ends up trusting Miranda because she has no one else that knows any of this.
Well, and enough can't be said for how immensely talented and charismatic Michelle Gomez is. There's just like, because we talked about it at length
in Sabrina
and just personally where I was like, she is a very extremely handsome woman. She has very sharp, very masculine features.
Well, and she's got a Scottish brogue, which is like one of the more masculine accents in my opinion.
She is so fucking hot.
Like I would step on my neck, Michelle Gomez.
Oh my God. Ugh. It's like, could you imagine her and Hannah Waddingham? Well,
Keeley on Ted Lasso would absolutely just disintegrate into a puddle.
I also really liked Alex's mom. Are we done with that whole plot? Or because she was only in the 2 episodes, but she was a bad bitch.
She was funny.
She was really, really interesting.
I don't know. She like sort of says goodbye to Alex in the finale, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know that he's going to be in anymore.
We talked a little bit about Buckley. Like I said, I really appreciated both characters that he played, and they were different.
Yeah.
I don't know. All in all, I'm really we started with Max. I was also going to end with Max because we watched him on Once Upon a Time. He was Aladdin.
I didn't.
I thought you were watching that season. Was that before?
Maybe it was a little before.
Okay.
I remember him after you said it. I was like, that sounds right. But I don't remember much of the Aladdin
He was so
stuff.
good. He in this. he was good in Once Upon a Time as good as one can be. But he was so interesting on this show, and he felt like the real credit to the characters. Like characters sort of came and went, and I cared about all of them, including Sabrina. Like when Sabrina falls off the roof, I was like, "Aw."
She thought that rabbit statue was ugly too.
I loved Annie's shower in the middle of the apartment. And
that
then
apartment is gold.
Miranda walks in and just was like, that's a choice.
Yeah.
Probably my least favorite part was the flashbacks, was like the family trauma, but it was done well.
Well, so I think I would probably agree, except for you have to. Or else, like you said, then she's just a good time girl and there's no excuse for her behavior. I
don't know how I feel about her being sober going forward.
I doubt that will last.
Okay. Well, but you don't want to be rooting for her.
Okay. I don't necessarily think she is like a textbook. I guess she is a textbook.
I was gonna be.
Okay. I guess she is a textbook alcoholic. I would argue that once she gets the mental help she deserves, she would be able to drink socially.
Maybe.
I think.
One would hope. And then, Rosie Perez is like,
yeah,
she like skipped town. So it was a roller coaster. There was ups and downs. We didn't even mention BB Newirth.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, she was Annie's boss.
But I kind of loved it, and I kind of can't wait for season 2.
Me
and
too.
I think it'll be fun and different enough.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
So yeah, let us know what you think, and if you want to follow along with us, like I said, I think Thursdays or probably Fridays we'll have our episodic coverage where we talk about each episode after the fact. So please like and subscribe, join along, and all of the so yeah,
bye.